so it's like a fringe. I don't know. Oh, my hand cramped this morning when I was doing it. But I thought I'd try something different, and then I've got just the wrap going around my head rather than going all over like I normally do. It's still too cold for me to have my hair out, so I just don't want to have my hair out in the cold at the moment.
Oshawa.
It's like 5 different places. Holy! There's a whole track from where she does it. Run, run, run. Run, run, run. Hey, good girl.
Oh, hi. Can I have it? Can I have it? Can I have it? Get down. Good girl. Get down. Come on. It's mine. It's mine. Okay. Ready? Are you ready? Ready?
Oh, I'm having so much fun. I've just had ham because today was Easter dinner. I've just had ham for the first time. It hasn't changed my life. It hasn't wowed me, but I really liked it. I had a piece with maple syrup, a piece with ketchup, a piece with mustard. Is it something that I'll ever buy for myself or my husband? Probably not, but it's definitely something that we would definitely partake in every time we come up to see his mum and dad's, which is quite nice. But it hasn't changed my life in any way, so I don't feel like I've missed out anymore, if that makes sense. So I'm glad I've taken the opportunity to try ham. Yeah, it was actually pretty nice. But mum usually makes pretty good food anyway, so it's always top notch when it comes from her. At the moment, I'm just trying to chill in the garden, in the backyard with the dog while she does like her business, but it's so cold out here. It is most definitely the season of deception, for sure. There was snow this morning in some parts of Ontario. Even here, I don't think we got any snow where we live in Toronto, but other places did. And I don't even want to think about the other places that got snow outside of Ontario. So I'm still in shock because we're halfway through April and it still feels like winter. So I don't fully understand why this is. I am dying and I am desperate for summer now. Summer heat is my thing, but it's so bright and it's so nice. But I don't know. It's been a nice day. It's been a really nice day so far. But other than that, it's just the weather. It's the only thing that's bugging me out. Just the weather. That's right. We are a supernatural family. heading back to Union now, and then we can head home from there. It was a really, really nice day. It was just good to get out. Just really good to get out. It's been a while since we've gone up to see the in-laws, or at least it's been a couple months, I think, since I've last been up to see mum and dad. So it was nice to go see them today. Dylan went last time. I didn't get to. But yeah, for the evening now, just a little bit of self-care, a little meditation, and then probably just chilling and then going to bed because I am working tomorrow. So yeah, lots of things to do. Oh my god, every 2 seconds I brush against something and then I'm just covered in hair because my dog is at that point where she's now starting to shed her coat for the beginning of the year. Like, we sweep like several times a day. We should just sit down, like every time we just kind of stare at her and then we stare at her brush and we're just like, we should put the brush on her and just sit and brush her. We just can't bring ourselves to do it. It's kind of it. So I think that's what we're probably going to try and do today, is try and give her a really good brushing again and see how much more hair ends up coming off this time around. I just wanted to show you 2 books that I'm currently reading. So I need to add them to my Goodreads. I don't think I have yet, especially this one. The first book is Greenlights by McConaughey. This one has been touted by pretty much every media outlet. Lots of people absolutely love this book that I've seen on social media. I've got people who are friends with me or friends and family members and stuff who have all said that they really want to get a copy of this book or they've already read this book and they absolutely love it. I knew that he was coming out with a book. I knew that he came out with the book. I know that there's more goodies that are supposed to be lined up that are due to come out soon to go along with the book, as well as your own methods into introspection and journaling. I just didn't read a great deal into it, so that's part of the reason that I decided to go out and see if I could find a copy. And I did. At my local bookstore, they had one left. So I was like, that's mine. So I picked it up. I've started reading it. I'm only a few pages in. And so far, I'm actually really liking it. It's not like a memoir or a biography or anything of sorts, but at the same time, it kind of is. It's also more of, at least from what I gather so far, it's also more of like a introspective treatise on his life experience thus far. And I guess it also kind of leans into the hopes and fears that he has for the future, and for his own family and stuff. So far, I'm gleaning quite a bit of information. It's also really nice to sort of see how he thinks as a person. Because at the end of the day, even though he's one of my absolute favorite actors, he is a person and he has thoughts and feelings just like the rest of us. So it's really nice and really insightful to have a book or a memoir of sorts that's actually kind of written and published in a different manner to regular memoirs, if that makes sense. So yeah, Greenlights by McConaughey. So the next book that I want to discuss with you is Tides. Now, I actually went into the store to look for something along the lines of like Shakespeare, if there's any more Shakespeare books out there, because I'm currently trying to read as much as I can. It's just a habit that I have as a fan of Shakespeare and his works and other works from the time that he was alive, like Christopher Marlowe's works and things. And it's also just a habit that I have as, I guess, alumni of English literature. I have a degree in English literature, so reading theory books is just second nature to me. And if I'm not reading theoretical books on literature or literary critical theory or anything, then I'm reading literary journals or just reading essay collections because I just like the information that those books happen to hold. So I went in, there wasn't really anything new because I'd already bought most of the stuff that was there. So I just had a super quick look around to see if there's anything else that would entice me. And I actually ended up picking up this book, Yoga Pant Nation. The reason why I was drawn to this book, not knowing anything about this book at all, I know nothing about this book. I know nothing about Laurie Gelman, who is the author of this book. But it's purely because I bought my first pair of yoga pants very recently from Lululemon. And I love them. So it was sticking out on the bookshelf, just kind of huge, and all the other books were kind of small around it. And it was just there, bright and yellow. And I was like, I have no idea what this book's about, but I love it, so I'm just gonna buy it. I then also went and ordered a copy of My Dark Vanessa. Again, another book I've seen around on social media an awful lot, but I know nothing about the book. So I'm actually just gonna wait until I actually get the book to then sit down and read it and figure out what the story is about. I haven't even read the blurb or anything. All I know is that people have said it's a book that's very tough to get through. Some people found it quite disturbing. Others were saying it's their favorite book, even though the subject matter is not something that you would ever sort of put in the same sentence as saying something is your favorite. So I'm getting ideas of what the book might be about. So I'm just going to wait until my copy comes in and then give it a read, basically. So yeah, Yoga Pant Nation. I have no idea what it's about. I'm guessing, judging by the cover, it's about someone trying to juggle a lot of things in life. I should just give you guys a blurb, but I've decided actually, when I do actually crack this book open, I will tell you what this book is actually about, and then I will go into a bit more detail about my reading experiences of it. So yeah, I like the cover. I like how bright it is. And I also love my Lululemon pants, which is great. So I'm just gonna move on to the next one. The last book that I ended up getting that day was Tides by Sara Freeman. This book is, wow. It's a whirlwind. It's been maybe a total of a few hours. Like if I collect it all together over the past couple of days, I have feverishly been reading this book. I don't think I've read a book as quickly in such a long time. It usually takes me like a week or two to get through an entire novel nowadays, whereas back when I was actually studying English literature, it was totally normal to read like 4 or 5 novels like this thick, like in a week, because we had to prepare for all of our classes. And since I graduated, I've kind of forced myself to slow down my reading a little bit more so that I can really enjoy the literature again. Because I'm doing it for fun and not for analysis. So I was recommended this book by one of the assistants at said local bookstore, and she remembered that we were talking about poetry and how much we love poetry and stuff, and literary like theory and magazines and things, and how we like to just keep on top of how literature flows and how people react to certain forms and works of literature. And we were talking about poetry the last time. And so she ended up getting this book, I think like a week or two after. And then when I came in that day, which was again, probably another week or so after she got this book, she came running around the corner after I ordered my book from her and basically said, oh my God, you need to read this. I really need to know your thoughts and feelings on this book. Now, I wanted to wait until I was done reading it before giving you guys a review, but I've read like 2/3 of this book so far in literally a few hours, and I love it. I've seen one review where somebody did say that they wish they did get a bit of a trigger warning about this book. And I understand why to a degree, but I also appreciate that there wasn't a trigger warning as someone on the other end of what the main character, Mara, is actually dealing with within this book. So let me reintroduce the book again for you. This book is Tides by Sara Freeman. It is a Canadian book, or at least the author is Canadian from what I gather. So I'm considering this one of my few, like my little handful of Canlit that I've managed to get so far. Mara is someone who goes through something really traumatic, stressful, emotional. And I guess in order to deal with these heavy bouts of grief that follow her, these heavy bouts of grief that she sees in various things in everyday life, the thoughts and feelings that she has that trigger these thoughts and feelings of grief, she tries to deal with it by just getting up one day and just disappearing off to an American town. Like she literally crosses the border and just ends up in a random beach town somewhere. It happens to be somewhere that her mother apparently grew up. And she decides to just take time and take space. The only thing is, Mara's married. She's married. certain things do happen in this book with her boss, this lovely guy called Simon, who is also going through a bit of marital turmoil as well. And they both happen to be dealing with grief in slightly different ways, which allows them to come together in a way to kind of deal with it, I guess you could say, or at least put a plaster on it from what I'm gathering so far. It's a really emotional book. And I can't say enough about it without ruining it or anything or giving away too many spoilers, but I've been hooked so far. I keep reading because I want to know what happens to her. I want to know what thoughts she continues to have. I want to know how she's dealing with the grief of what she's just gone through or recently went through. And the reason that I really like it is because this particular subject matter, and I'm going to try really hard not to talk about it, is something that I hold very dear to myself. I've never made it as far into the grief as she has. I've always been at the other end. And so the conversation around what she deals with, I find is very poignant. It's something that makes people very uncomfortable in everyday life. It's something that most people don't really like to think about. The whole journey of what leads to this grief is something that society really does push on women. And it's something very difficult to come to terms with when you realize that you cannot fulfill that aspect or that particular role of what it means to be a woman. Hopefully that doesn't give away too many spoilers. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm really sorry if there is. I haven't finished the book, but I'm absolutely dying to. I've got maybe like a third of the book to go, so I'm gonna try and see if I can finish it today. And then I will give my final thoughts, I guess, once I've had time to sit and ruminate on them. But so far, this book, I absolutely love it. Would I highly recommend it to people? I absolutely would. It's such a good book and it's such a quick read. So like you've seen with some of the pages already, the text itself, some of it's really short, suddenly it's really long. It's very kind of sparse. There's lots of space and there's gapping and stuff, and I find that to be very beautiful in its formatting and structure. It is almost poetic. I guess you could say acquaintance, I'm hoping that we can be friends at some point, the assistant at the bookstore, she was right in saying that there's a very sort of like poetic feel about the prose. You just read it and you kind of ebb and flow with how the prose is written. It's so incredibly beautiful. The sentences can be so short. Sometimes they can be really long. Sometimes they can just kind of leave you feeling a little bit breathless. And I just find that a very unique characteristic for this particular story, as well as the structure and the prose of the book. I just find it to be such a beautiful story, and I love it. I really do. I think it's a really good book. So Mara disappears. She goes to a beach town to deal with her grief. She meets a lot of other random people along the way, and she also comes face to face with how other people are also dealing with other forms of grief in their life. And it's just a very interesting look at how other people, or how other characters, should I say, just deal with life. And it's just, I don't know, there's just something so beautiful and calming about it. It's really odd. I mean, I don't know, I just think it's a really beautiful book. But like I said, I haven't finished. I will finish it soon, and then I will give you my final thoughts as time goes by. So, yeah.